How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifty from Driftwood Gaming. Welcome back to Learning RPG Developer Bakin. In this tutorial, I'm going to go over how to make a dynamic camera. So what that means is a camera that follows the player around without giving the player the control to move the camera. So starting out, let me show you what it'll look like to see if you're interested or not. This is what the map looks like, and I'll show you it in game. When the game starts, the camera zooms from the front of the mountain to the side of the mountain, following the main character. The main character moves around. The player is unable to move the camera on their own, but they can move around. And as they go around the mountain, the camera follows the player in 3 specific positions: the left side, the front side, and the right side. The player is able to jump around and move the same. The camera will try to focus on the best possible angle for your map. Now, this is just a blank map with a mountain on it, so you can do much better map, but you get the idea, right? It's blocking the camera so the player can't change it, and you decide at what point the camera turns and how it zooms in and zooms out, and you control all of that in the camera tool. So I'm gonna go over how to do that and the logic. It's very simple. It's 2 events, and it is 3 variables with 4 cameras. So let's get started. First of all, let's make the cameras. Click over on Camera Tool, and on your map, click on it and press the Add button. Name it the name of the map _ something to identify the location of where the camera is. In this case, I've called it map 2 _ left because this is the left side of the camera. Each one of these cameras is going to have 2 frames, the starting frame and the ending frame. Whatever you end the camera on is where it's going to stay, and it will follow the gazing target. In this case, we're always targeting the player, so as the player moves, the camera will follow using all of those settings. The first frame is going to be where the camera starts and then moves to the second frame. So in the first frame, we've got it in facing front, and then we click on Add Frame, and then we have it where we're going to lock and follow the player. So I've set the frame number to be 30, which is half of a second. So if we click play, you see the camera starts facing front, and over half of a second, it moves to facing left, pointing inward at the mountain. And that's basically it for that. To move it around, I have a whole tutorial on it, but TLDR, you use the middle mouse to zoom in and out like this, and you right click to change the angle. Just do the same thing. You click on map, you click on add, you do the second one. In this case, we need a camera that starts from where it was facing the camera from the left side to the front side. So the first frame is going to be a copy paste of this frame. So add a new camera, and then right click on this last frame, copy it, and then go to here and paste it. Now that'll put you in the same position so that it's smoother in a transition. Then we're gonna click Add Frame, and we're gonna manually move the camera to facing front, or whatever direction you want it to be. In this case, it's front. So if you press play, you see that you're on the left side, facing inward, moving into the front, right? Do the same thing. Create a new camera, but copy this last frame, and then paste it on the first frame. Then change the number to 30 to signify that it's going to last for half of a second. You can change this number to be whatever you like it to be. Longer number means it takes longer for the screen to transition. We're not going to actually wait for the camera in the events, so it can be longer transitions, but if it's too long, when the player goes back and forth across those camera transitions, it might look a little funky. I find that half a second works perfectly. So this is the right transition. Now the player is on the left side of the map, so the camera's gonna go into the mountain, but this will never happen because this camera will only play when we're on the right side of the mountain. This is just for the example here. So what we do is the same exact thing, right? We copy this frame and we paste it on the first frame, we add a new frame, and we move the camera so that it's facing right. If you're having trouble figuring out how to do this, what you can do is right click and change your player's starting point. And then when you're editing your camera, he'll be on that side. So if we look at this now, you can set it just the way you want it to be, right? So that gives you your point of reference to make it look right. And then we need to do one more because we have a left, a middle, and a right. But what happens if you're coming from the right and you're going to the left? Well, right now it's got it swinging from the left side to the front, which will look funny if you're coming from the right. So we need to do another camera that's on the right side facing in, zooming to the front, like you see here. So we make another one, we copy the last frame, we paste it on the first frame, and then we add a new frame, change the frame number to 30, and then we move this back to the front. So we've got our 4 cameras. That's the most complicated part. I went through it, we swallowed the frog, we move on. Looks complicated, it's very easy, you can do it. I know you can, all right? So now we're gonna start setting up our events. So what we're gonna do is click on Placed List. We're going to click on the add button and we're going to create a new event called camera controller. You can name it later, you can name it whatever you want, doesn't really matter. But what you want to do is turn off collide with player and collide with other event, because this is an invisible event that's just going to repeat and check the player. Now we're doing a pseudo player tracker in here. In this, what we're going to do is say automatically start, repeat in parallel, and we're going to click on the plus and we're going to go to the variable section. We're going to click on plus and go to the variable boxes. Then we're going to click on advanced variable box operation. In here, we're going to click the drop down, create a new variable. We're going to call it player X and hit OK. You can call it whatever you want, just remember what you're referencing. On the what section, we're going to select the coordinate information for player, and we're going to select the X coordinate, and we're going to assign that data to this variable. Underneath that, click the plus. We're going to do some logic in here. We're going to create a conditional that has an else handler or a nested conditional, however you want to call it. Click on the plus, and then click on conditional judgments, and then we're going to click on check variable box. Inside here, we're going to select player X for the first A section. And in the B section, we're going to select a number. What is this magic number? How do we figure it out? Let's look at the map. On this map, we have 3 things to keep track of: X, Y, and Z, right? To make it simple, I'm just keeping track of where the player's X is at. If you hover the mouse around, you see a little bubble pop up that shows you what the X value is of that location on the map. So I've divided it up into 3 sections using 1 dimension. On the X, I've decided to select 10 and below are the left section. And in between 10 and 20 will be the front section. And then after 20 is going to be the right section. So that's how I've cut it up into 3 sections. The more complex it gets, the more conditionals you'll need. But this is a simple way to do it with 3 camera locations. This is how we get our magic X number, right? You decide the left, the middle, the right, or however many you need, and you split that up. Back in the event, what we're doing here is we're selecting A less than B. So if player's X is less than 10, on the yes handler, we're going to click on the plus and select under variable boxes, variable box assignment and calculation. Here is where we're going to create our second variable, the camera selection number. So select the down arrow and add a new one, call it camera selection number or something like that. In this case, when the player's on the left-hand side, we're going to assign 0 to this variable, overwrite by 0, and that's it. On the no handler, we're going to copy paste this event here. We're going to copy that check variable box on player X, and since we've decided 10, 20, we're going to set this one to 20. If the player is less than 20, he's in the middle. And we know he'll be in the middle because if he's less than 10, it will settle on this first one. So we can know that the player is between 10 and 20 right here if we set it up like this. On the yes handler, we're going to simply copy paste this first one over here, the variable box assignment, paste it on the yes, and we're going to change the 0 to a 1. Simple as that. We're going to copy paste it again on the no handler, paste it right here, and change that to a 2. That's as simple as that part is. Hit apply, hit OK. We're going to make one more event. This is the last and final event. Placed list, create a new event by clicking add. I've called it camera assigner. You can call it whatever you want. Now it has 4 pages. And it's not really complicated. This is a really, really simple part. Name it something that you'll remember which camera is being used. This is the camera left, camera front, camera right, camera front 2. Now, why do we have front 2? Like we talked about, because if you're coming from the right to the center, you want to have a camera that moves from the right to the center so it looks right, okay? The next thing we're going to do is set the conditions for each one of these pages to run. So we're going to click on add sheet condition. On the variable box, camera selection number, we're going to set this one is equal to 0. Also with these, we're going to turn off collision because we don't need these to collide with the player at all. Now, this is not a parallel event, and we want the trigger to be automatically start, but only once. The next thing we're going to do is click on the plus and go to cameras and select camera playback. Now on this first one, we're going to select the map to left camera. No wait to complete, so we don't lock up the player. We're not like hassling them when we do a camera change. We want the camera change to be smooth and nice and neat and not stop the player from playing the game. Then what we're going to do is create our last and final variable. We're going to call this one last location. Under the variable boxes, click the plus, variable boxes, variable box assignment and calculation. We're going to click the drop down and add our final variable called last location. Now what we're going to do is just set this to 0, overwrite by 0. That's it. Now what we do is click the plus sign over here to add the second one. Or you can copy it by left clicking it, click on copy and clicking on paste. But when you do that, make sure you change everything. On the second one, camera front, is what I've named it. We have 2 conditions because when we have the camera going to the front, we have 2 different cameras. So we need to make sure that it's using the right camera when we're coming from the right and the left camera when we're coming from the left. So the conditions for this one will be camera selection number is equal to 1 and last location is equal to 0. Once again, the trigger is automatically start, but it only runs once. We don't want the camera constantly flickering, so we just put this on only once. Under cameras, do camera playback, and we're gonna select map to front. Click the plus, we're gonna do variable box assignment and calculation, and we're going to set last location to 1, saying that the player is now in the front. Copy paste this again, or just add a new sheet. It's very simple. Either way will work. Call this one camera right. The condition for this, since you're only gonna be moving to the right side from the middle, you don't need two conditions. We're gonna set the condition for this one to be camera selection number is equal to 2. Once again, trigger automatically start only once. Play the camera playback this time, map to right, and then assign 2 to the last location under the variable box selection. Then finally, copy paste it or add a new one, camera front 2, coming from the right to the left. We're gonna add 2 conditions, camera selection number equal to 1, last location equal to 2, because we were on the right side, 0, 1, 2, and we're going into the center. So this is trigger automatically start only once. Camera playback is going to be map to front 2, using that final camera that we made. And then we're going to set the variable last location back to 1, assign 1, because now we're back in the front. We're in the front, 0, 1, we're in the middle, right? And that's the entire event. That's all of them. That's the whole system. Hopefully I made it quick and easy enough to understand. Now you can also do lots of other things like changing with the map settings and changing your camera here. There's a lot of other things you can do. I'm sure you're creative enough to figure out lots of different cool things to do with this, make cool events and make cool cameras. This is as basic, bare bones as I can make it as fast as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Please back us on Patreon. We could use your monetary support. Join us on the Discord. That would be very appreciated. Love to see you there. Come hang out with us. And that's it. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Love you very much. Bye-bye.